Hello everyone, welcome to Ministry of Life Education tutorial series, and today this is the first video we're doing. We're going to do a quick look at Logic and just some basic functions. So if you're just starting the course and you've never been on Logic before, this is where you want to be starting off, okay? So I'm going to try and make it quick, but I'm going to try and keep the detail in as well. But yeah, we're trying to make them short and sharp videos. So yeah, let's get straight into it, okay? So if you've installed Logic, you might see the Logic down here in your dock. If you can't see that, go to your Finder, go to Applications, look for Logic Pro X. So there it is, yeah. So there it is. So if you double click that in your applications, it'll start to run Logic, okay? It may or may not open up a new window. It might just come up with Logic here in the top left. So if you do that, you want to go to File, okay? So File is where you're going to open up new projects. It's where you're going to save your existing projects. That's where you're going to load up old projects you've worked on in the past. So File is very important. So you go File. In this case, we're going to start a new one, okay? So you go to New. Then it gives you these options here. So it gives you software instrument, audio, drummer, external MIDI, guitar, or bass. Those are the different types of tracks you can use in your project. Mostly to start with, we're only going to be using audio or software instrument. And today we're going to be using audio. So you highlight audio with a click, then you click create. Ignore the extra details down here for now. Just click create. Okay, so now we've created a new project with a blank audio track within it. Okay, I won't get into audio tracks just yet. We'll talk about that in the next video. But I just want you to do that just to have a go, because basically it won't actually open a Logic session unless you have one track. So we had to put one audio track in then, just sort of get to this position here. Okay, so just to quickly explain, this area here is the arrangement view. This is where you'll be dropping your audio tracks, your MIDI files, stuff like that. If you don't know what MIDI files is, don't panic. We'll get onto that in a later video. This is your track list here. So if I duplicate this track, here we go. So we have 4 audio tracks now. So it's going to come down from top to bottom. Okay, the time is moving from left to right. So that's kind of how it's laid out. Time from left to right in the arrangement view, and your tracks then from top to bottom in number order. Okay, so on the far left, you have channel strip. So this far left channel strip is the channel strip for the track that we've selected. So audio 1, audio 1. If I move this fader, you can see the volume moving on my track up here as well. Yeah, so they're linked. When I highlight 2, this becomes audio 2. Okay, so that's kind of what's going on there. Don't worry about what's happening within the channel strip. We'll talk about that in another video. But up here then are some playback options, okay guys? So you got play. If you press play, you can see the playhead start to move. You got stop. When you press that again, it goes back to the beginning, and you can go forward and back using these. And there's record options as well, which we'll get to in a later video. We won't talk about them right now. So if you want to loop something, guys, this grey box here, you can click that, it turns orange, and then you can set your loop to wherever you would like it to loop. So if I wanted to loop 1 bar, I press space bar. When it's orange, it will loop. When you click it and it goes grey, it won't loop. Okay, so that's that. Couple of quick things. If you press X, you can bring up your mixer view, which is going to give you all your tracks in a mixer view. So when you're doing your mix downs and so on, that's going to be really handy for you. So X is the mixer view. Okay, that's good to know about. And then up here in the top right, so you may be able to see this, my face may be in the way, but in the top right there's a button called Apple Loops. Now if you're just beginning, these are going to be really handy. You can just drag and drop any of these loops from Apple Loops straight into your audio project. So here you can select between instruments, genres and moods depending on what sort of sound you want. So yeah, I would say when you're starting out, play around with these Apple Loops because they are quite good, and they always match up with your BPM as well because they've been synced by Apple to do that. So yeah, if that doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry, just drag and drop them in and see what happens. And yeah, I might as well show you a quick one. So I can drag this from Apple Loops, drop it onto my audio channel, and when I press play, oh, take it back to the start. When I press play, we get some guitars. Okay, so that's basically drag and drop in from Apple Loops on the side. You can do the same as well if you have audio in your Finder. You can drag and drop audio onto any of these audio tracks, but I'll talk about that in more detail on the next video. Okay, so that's the basic layout of Logic. guys, up here on the top left, I'll just briefly explain that. You've got your libraries, so you can bring that up by pressing Y or just clicking on this. So within the library is going to be a bunch of Logic so depending on what type of track you're using, if it's an audio track, there's going to be all these audio effects plugins and things that we can just insert on the track. So we've got a guitar there, so I might want to use one of these guitar sort of audio channel strip presets here. So that's within the library. If I was on a software instrument, the library would give me all different instruments that I could sort of load in quick. So if I wanted a piano or guitar quick, I could just go to the library here in the top left, find it, chuck it in, and it'll be on my software instrument. But I won't get too into that just at the minute. So that's the basic layout of Logic. There's loads of other stuff on here that I won't get into, that we will get into in a later date, but that's basically a sort of rough guide. So you got your playback options here, you got your arrangement view here, you got your track or your channel strip view here, you got your mixer view on X, you've got your library in the top left, and you've got Apple loops here. In the middle of the screen, guys, you've just got in project information. So the 2 and the 4 here represent what bar we're on with the playback, with the playhead cursor. Then you've got your BPM or your tempo, which is 120 beats per minute. Then you've got 4/4, which is the time signature, and you've got E major, which is the key signature of the track. Now I've picked up that E major from the acoustic guitar loop I've dropped in. Okay, so your first loop, if you drop it in and it has a key and it's from Apple Loops, it'll automatically change that for you. So that's the layout, briefly speaking. So I've started up a new project so far. If I want to load up an existing project, I go to File, I go to Open. Then you should have some Logic files saved in your computer. I've got this here. So I double click that. It's going to ask me if I want to save this. Or sorry, it's going to ask me if I want to close this. So I want to close this. I don't want to save it. And that's basically loading up a file. So it'll always ask you if you want to close the current project. You can have multiple projects open at once. It'll always ask you if you want to save it as well. So if it's not your work, I would suggest always saving it. And yeah, so now we have a fresh project open that I've worked on in the past. So let's say I've done some stuff to this now, I want to save it. If it's the first time I'm saving, I'll go File, I'll go Save As. Then it brings up this window. You pick your destination folder as to where you want to save it, give it a name, press save, and then that's going to save your file then in the destination that you've chosen. Okay, so I won't save this now, but that's it. So save as if you're saving for the first time. If you've already saved, you just want to save, you just press save, or alternatively you can just press Command and S, and that'll do a sort of quick hotkey save for you. So that's loading and saving and opening up a new project, and the basic rundown of how Logic looks. Alright guys, so hopefully that helps you. We'll get into some more detail in the next video, and yeah, hope it helps.